Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day. I'd like to start off by acknowledging the people of the Kulin Nations. I pay my respect to their elders, past and present. I'd also like to extend this acknowledgement to the traditional custodians of the various lands in which we are meeting on today, and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people participating in this webinar. My name is Abdul, and I'm one of the events officer at diversIT. Joining me in organizing this event is Renee, who is also one of our events officer. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this event today, and I'd like to thank all who submitted a question for our panelists. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to our speakers for being able to make it today. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our society and who we are. diversIT is a support network developed by students. We aim to build and facilitate a culture of inclusion and diversity within the Faculty of IT at Monash. We hope to make an impact on underrepresented students within IT by connecting them with industry, faculty, and each other. Welcome everyone to our first event of the year. Today, we are fortunate enough to have 3 speakers join us to discuss their experiences in navigating the IT industry as either postgraduate students or as international students. Our first speaker is Teresa Feng. Teresa moved to Australia from a small town in China at 8 years old and has been an international student since. After completing her summer internship at Canva, Teresa is continuing to make an impact to the Canva community as a full-time front-end software engineer. Secondly, we have Candice Rimba. Candice is a recent Monash University graduate from Indonesia, graduating with a Bachelor of Computer Science and Finance. Since completing her studies, she is now working as a full-stack developer at HelloFresh and has been working with the company for around 6 months. Next, we have Kshitish Pandey. Kshitish is currently a software engineer at Envision System, an AI-based video analytics startup. He has 3 years of industry experience working primarily with web technologies. Kshitish holds a bachelor's degree in engineering, majoring in IT from Mumbai University, and currently is a master's of IT student at Monash. Our final speaker, Andrew Pham, will be joining us later in the evening during the networking session. Andrew recently graduated with a master's degree and is now a teaching associate at Monash. Aside from his teaching of postgraduate units, Andrew is a database developer at Turning Point, an Eastern Health Division, working with Monash University, researching addiction and treatment. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. To all of our attendees, feel free to post any questions you might have in the chat, and we'll do our best to ask our speakers later on. We will also be having breakout rooms with the speakers should you like to have a chance to speak and network with the speakers more personally. So without further ado, let's get started. To get to know our speakers a little better, our first question is, what got you interested in tech? Perhaps we could start off with Teresa.
Yeah, of course. What got me into tech? I think coming from like an all-girls high school in Sydney, there really wasn't much exposure to tech whatsoever. But I was really lucky that my principal at the time was really keen on supporting my passion in like science and mathematics. So I did like a program in programming. So we did some coding, we made some games in Scratch and Python, the languages that you really get started in. And I really liked it. It stuck with me, but I was kind of frustrated that my school didn't have any courses like that. So then I kind of went out and looked for more opportunities myself to kind of get more exposure into this field. So I did some coding courses in UNSW, did a few coding camps throughout the summers. And yeah, that's how I kind of got into computer science and decided I really like problem solving and I really like just being creative with what I do. And I also kind of have a passion with design. So I really wanted to try and have some way to link my creativity with tech. I think.
Awesome. We'll move on to Candice. What about you?
My journey to tech is a bit of a funny story where the reason why I got into tech was because in my family, everyone was pretty bad with tech. So there had to be one kid in the whole family that had to just step up and just figure out any technological stuff. Because of that, I've just started getting used to Googling everything. And then just going from there, I've started getting really interested in technology. It also really helps that I really enjoyed playing games as a kid. So back when I was like in primary school, my dream was just to be a game developer. That dream somewhat fizzled out in high school. And that sort of becoming, I just want to still be in tech, maybe not in the game industry. So yeah, my interest started from like something very simple. Ever since I joined high school, I just knew I was definitely going to join tech. It was also a pretty bad case for me where it's like, back when I was studying in high school in Indonesia, technology wasn't a very well-regarded subject, I guess. The classes that we got were pretty badly run. Like the very first programming language that I learned was PHP, which is not great when you have to like take exams and then they have you do all of these really difficult coding problems and then you just have PHP to do with it. But yeah, I just decided, regardless of that, I wanted to pursue computer science. And yeah, I just took that degree in Monash and now I'm here.
Amazing. It's amazing how much Google could help with deciding what your career is.
Yeah.
And what about you, Kshitij? What got you into tech?
I think I still remember when I wrote my first, so like back in high school, we had this subject called HTML. Basically, you build website using simple HTML commands. And that's one of the first time I wrote a simple website. And I kind of fell in love with it. Like with a few simple commands and few simple syntaxes, I could build something so simple yet so powerful. And I was like, okay, maybe this is interesting. And then I think that was the moment that I made up my mind that I want to do something in tech. And then that's why I got into engineering. I did my majors in IT, and I think. But after that, I think the sole reason that I got into tech was I want to build something that can actually solve people's problems. So I think my focus was towards that kind of thing. So I want to build something that people use, and it actually helps them to solve their issues basically. So I think that could be like that's actually the reason that I'm into tech.
Amazing, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next question, which is just telling us a bit how you actually got your career started. So we might start with Candace, if that's all right.
Yep. It's a bit of a, I guess it depends on what you mean by career. If it's my very first like professional experience as a developer, I started off getting an internship at it's this company called Gojek in Indonesia. They're currently like probably the biggest tech company in Indonesia. So it's great that I got an internship into that. And then after I got the internship, it was a full stack internship. So that's when I learned about things like what full stack actually means and like using like web tools to just create like really cool internal tools and all, which is not something that you learn as much in like university, because at least with Monash, they teach you like maybe algorithms and like Python courses, not necessarily just web stuff. After that internship, I moved on to a few other internships. In the summer of 2019, I got into an internship with Google. So that was also very fun, where I was working with the Chrome OS team to basically improve their Chrome OS keyboards, just the touchscreen version of the keyboards, just to upgrade their emojis and all. That was a very fun project and very fun summer. And then I moved on to another internship with an Indonesian startup. Unfortunately, during that time, I think it was when COVID hit pretty badly. So everyone had to do work from home. I had to do all of my stuff online as well. That was the very first time I got exposed to what it was like to work from home. It was a very interesting experience. And it's nice that in all of my internships, they are all like from companies of like different sizes. So I got to have a feel of like what sort of company I want to be in, like what's the culture that I really enjoy. Yeah, and then once those 3 internships are up, when I graduated, I got a graduate position in HelloFresh as a full stack developer. And I'm still here 6 months later.
Wow, that's amazing. That's quite a full life you've led with just internships alone. That's very impressive. I might ask Shatij if you want to go next and tell us a bit about how you got your early career started. Yeah, unmute.
It was kind of the same for me. I got my first internship back in third year of my engineering degree. So it was a small startup. Basically, they wanted to build a portal for students, to get online classes or something. So me and my few of my friends, we joined this startup as an intern, and that's where my journey started as a web developer. After that, I think I did 3 more internships before graduating. So I think in total, I done total 4 internships, all with small startups. After graduation, I got a placement in Accenture, but I didn't go there because I didn't want to work because I like working in startups. So I was like, I'm not going to go in a multinational company in a huge corporation like Accenture. So I joined another startup. After that, a small startup, a service-based startup, and then I worked there for 6 months. And after 6 months, I was like, maybe I'm done with this kind of company, this kind of service company. So I moved to another startup after that, which was a product company, and I worked there for like 11 months. After 11 months, I finally decided to, I want to do a master's. So I came here in Melbourne. And as soon as I came here in Melbourne, after I think like 2 or 3 months, I got into I got the job currently I'm doing. It's again a startup, a Melbourne startup. It's like very small startup. And that's how my whole journey started in my career.
Well, also very, very impressive. And Teresa, do you want to finish this off here?
Sure. I say my journey is a little bit different to the 2 other panelists, which has a wealth of knowledge and experience in different companies. My journey in tech has only been with Canva, and literally Canva only. I started with an internship at the end of my 2nd year with Canva, and then I was lucky enough to get offered a part-time role with Canva, so I continued on in March last year, 2020. And then I did part-time throughout my final year of uni, 3rd year. And at the end of the 3rd year, I transitioned into a full-time role. So now I'm doing full-time work, finishing off a few courses in my uni. So, and here I am.
Awesome. Well, it's good to know that everyone had different journeys to where they are now. It's good to know that they're all fruitful ones. We'll move into our next question. What are some of the barriers that you have faced in the IT industry, and how do you manage to overcome it? I think we'll start off with Shatij this time.
I think for me, it was getting the technical knowledge, right? Because as engineers, you're supposed to work on on complex technologies. So initially, it was just like when you're a beginner, right? You try to learn a lot of stuff. I think that's where the problem starts, because you're trying to learn a lot of things, but you need to focus maybe just like on 2 or 3 things. So initially it was, when I started my internship, I was like, okay, I don't know this. Maybe I need to learn more. I don't know this. I need to learn more. So that was one of the obstacles that I had to overcome. And after that, when I started working full time, I think it was just the management. I would say the management was so the reason that I left my first company was the management was not good, right? So I think it was a small startup. Imagine a small startup just with like 10 or 12 people, and you're bad at managing just that many people, right? So I think for me it was that like I need good management. If I'm doing my work, please don't don't come and interrupt me all the time, or like undermine your workers. So I think for me initially it was when I was a junior, it was getting that kind of knowledge, getting into tech. But after when I started working full time, it was mostly just management. I work probably 3 or 4, 5 companies, and the only thing that I felt, apart from being not that knowledgeable, was if you need good management to manage your people. And I think that was so that's why that was the reason I left my company. So I think that was the obstacle that I faced, and I didn't have any option other than to leave the company and maybe join some other company.
Definitely, yeah. And I do agree that especially in IT, there's a wealth of information out there, and at times, especially when starting, it does feel quite overwhelming. And as you said, the importance of management is not to be understated. Candice, what about you? What barriers have you faced in the IT industry, and How do you manage to overcome it?
Yeah, at least for me, I think the IT industry is very much a experience-driven industry. It's one of the few industries where you can actually get so much experience by showing initiative. And because of that, you see, like when you're in the middle of, say you're about to graduate or something, you'll be able to see like so many of these like your classmates maybe having all of this like wealth of knowledge where it's like they're getting it either through like internships, part-time developer roles, or like maybe just like through hackathons or personal projects. I think the hardest part for me was definitely being an international student. Opportunities may not be as open to you. I've applied to like definitely over like 50 different opportunities, and a lot of them I could tell they didn't even like have a look at my CV and all, simply because I was an international student, which is, I guess, very fair, because with international students, we have like visa conditions where it's like you can't work too many hours, or there's also issues like maybe they have this notion where it's like once you graduate, we have a time limit of like maybe these applicants are planning on going home, so it'll be a waste to train them. Or it's also like with international students, once you get to like a temporary residency visa, you get like 2 years and then that's it. So definitely lots of companies aren't open to actually give the opportunity to international students. For me, I think the way I overcame it was just to apply and to as many opportunities as possible. I've basically scoured through like all of the different like job boards, like Monash's own job board. I've scoured through those. I've basically applied to every role that I think would be good for me. There are so many failures that I've had just on my emails. But because I showed that sort of like effort on trying to get through things, I ended up getting into opportunities that I didn't think I was ever going to get. Like the Indonesian company that I first got my first internship in, I never thought that I was able to get that opportunity, just because I felt like I probably wasn't good enough for that. But I still gave it a shot, and that went out well. Same thing with Google as well. I didn't think I would ever be able to get in. Just applied for fun. Somehow I got in as well. Yeah, for me, it's just keep applying for everything, every opportunity that you see under the sun. And then hopefully there's at least like one or two that just gives you back.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely amazing what the powers of persistence could do, really. We'll move on to Teresa. What are your thoughts on the question?
Yeah, I cannot resonate more with what Candace said in terms of the challenges of an international student. It's just really seeing that line on the job description saying for permanent residents and citizens only, because that's basically like the door shut on your face before you even apply, because you know you have the skills, you're no less than any other applicant, but it's a shame because of it's of like a status that's basically preventing you from applying. Yeah, I definitely agree with all the solutions and ways that Candace overcame it. Was just to keep applying, get people to back you up in what you do. They can advocate for you. I got my job through referrals. So like I didn't think I was going to be able to get in, so I didn't apply. And they referred me, and I actually got through because they believed in me where I didn't. Yeah, a barrier that I face quite a bit, and I'd say still do, is probably imposter syndrome. I'm sure some of you probably have heard of this. And I think a lot of engineers will probably go through this some point in their life. And I know this for a fact because I've spoken to so many engineers who have said that they do. Canva, just Canva and my university alone have like no shortage of amazing engineers who have just solved some ridiculously amazing problems that I can't imagine myself doing. And I feel like sometimes you can't help but fall into the trap of thinking you're not good enough. And that someone will call you out on being a fraud. Yeah, I think that's definitely a really, really big challenge that I faced. And something that I tried that really helped me out was getting help from someone that you really trust in, or someone that really trusts in you. My manager is that person for me. He's always pushing me to do things that I say, I'm like, I really don't want to do this. Like, I don't think I can do this. He'll be like, no, it's fine. You can do it. Like, it's going to be awesome. And he'll like tell everyone like the amazing things I've done. And it's like those moments that really prove to you that people believe in you and that you can do the things that you don't think you can do. Yes, finding people who can support you and advocate for you is definitely a really amazing thing, and definitely supports you through your journey as an engineer. And then hopefully you can be that support network for someone else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we hear a lot about how important it is to build your network and have people that are really willing to go into bat for you. That's, yeah. And that actually, these answers relate really well to our next question, which is, what did you guys do to try and stand out to companies while you were applying? So might start off with Candace.
Yeah, so there's definitely lots of ways that you can actually stand out to the company. Obviously, you can definitely go for hackathons, you can go for like personal projects, you can go for like getting that internship, that work experience. You can definitely also go for like student societies to show your leadership skills. For me, it was a bit of a weird case because first year of uni, I thought to myself, oh, I would like to try student societies and all. Joined one, absolutely hated it. So I just decided this is not for me. So I instead went for something I was really passionate about. I really love to teach. So I was a like casual university tutor, not officially as like I wasn't teaching classes, but I was more so like if anyone needed any help, extra help for their units, they can definitely seek out to me. I also started working with this company that was teaching primary kids how to code. So just small, simple stuff like Scratch and like 3D design and all. That was all a very, very fun experience, and I really loved every moment of it. Definitely personal projects. There's been many, like a lot of my classmates have like really cool personal projects, and they've got like a whole portfolio of it. I've had one my whole life. But it was one of my favorite like personal projects just because I was very much driven to make sure that it's a success. I enjoyed every moment of it. Yeah, and obviously internships, it was something that it wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I was trying to stand out. It's more so like I want to know what it's like to actually work, because I really love to work. So that somehow definitely boosted my CV and all. But I think for me, I would say that to try to stand out is a bit of a trap, because I feel like interviewers can definitely tell if, let's say, you're joining like student societies or you're joining like all of these hackathons purely to boost your CV. Because at the end of the day, once you talk to your interviewers, they want to find that passion for technology that you should be showing to them. I think they can very clearly tell if you're just joining these opportunities just to boost up your CV. So I would say, instead of trying to stand out, instead explore what you enjoy in the tech industry and then just go for it as hard as you can. Enjoy the process along the way. And there will be companies out there who will seek you out for that passion.
Yeah, I think that's some really excellent advice, especially being able to follow your interests and carve out a niche for yourself. That makes a lot of sense. Kshitij, would you like to go next?
I think the reason that I got my first full-time job was because of my previous 4 internships. So when I went for the interview, he just saw my resume and he was like, "You've done 4 internships." And I think that was it. That just like, I didn't have any technical round. We just talked for like 45 minutes an hour, like on different stuff, but we didn't talk anything about technical stuff, like what I know. So I think he just saw that I've done 4 internships. Doesn't matter if I'm a good engineer, but I've done 4 internships. So I've done, things. I know things. Maybe I might not be that good, but I've done that kind of like those sorts of things, right? So I think for me it was based on my skills. But after that, if you don't get internships, what are you going to do, right? So I think, like Candy said, build your own portfolio, do personal projects. Um, uh, if you're learning something new, if you're learning a unit, let's say you're learning about Python, you're learning about Java, try to make something out of it, right? It doesn't matter if you get a D or an HD. Nobody's going to ask for like how much did you get in Java, or how much did you get in Python, right? So try to build your own portfolio. Make a simple static website, or try to host your content. Whatever you do, just try to show the companies that you can, if you even if you don't have any experience, you have worked on this kind of projects, so you do know about your tools, you do know about these programming languages, you do know about maybe databases, right? So try to build a portfolio. That's all I think I would say.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, really trying to build that practical, tangible experience that you can show people. Teresa, would you like to finish off?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree that there's so many ways that you can stand out. Like there is no like a specific rule about what to do to stand out. I can only speak for myself. I'd say a lot of companies really look for a well-rounded candidate. They don't want to, sometimes it's really, really good to have someone that's amazing at academics. Of course, we have a range of people who can do a lot of things. I say for myself, I wanted to show that I'm technically capable, but also my other interests as well. I'm myself like Candice, I'm also really like teaching. So I started teaching coding in year 12 all the way until the end of my uni for the university. And it was just something about teaching skills to someone who has no idea what they have never tried it before, and seeing their eyes light up when they press run and it actually shows something. They're like, wow, how did that even happen? Did I actually do that? And that's something that's really, really rewarding. And for anyone that's and I wanted to share that passion with someone who wouldn't have had that chance before. So I did a lot of rural teaching in Orange, Dubbo, because I say access is a little bit harder out there. I say even in the city is already hard enough to get started, not to mention in the rural locations as well. And I think I managed to stand out because it kind of aligned well with the company I was applying for's values, which is making things simple. And I really like breaking things down into really simple pieces. So I guess I found a company that really aligned with my values, and my values aligned with their values. So it really, I guess it worked out really, really well. But if you're trying to build up your portfolio and try and build up those skills, and you don't really have a company you're looking for yet, I definitely agree with everything that's mentioned already. I was actively participating in societies, and I really liked the society I was in because the people and the things we do, it was really, really rewarding. But if what you prefer is more about technical projects, so definitely go down that route. It's really about finding something that you enjoy, but don't kind of push something that you don't like. It's really hard to try and do something that you're not going to enjoy, because you're really just not going to like it, and it's going to feel like a chore, and you're just doing it just to get a job. But if you do something that you enjoy, you're actually going to want to try and do better in it, and the end goal isn't to get a job, but to do well in what you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely, I agree, and I think it's quite clear that passion often translates to success, and employers can really see that, and that's really what they're after at the end of the day. We'll move on to our next question. What is one piece of practical advice you would give to someone starting out in their careers? I'll pass that back to Teresa, actually.
Sure. Well, I think this is a hard one. I feel like there's not one piece of advice tailored to everyone, but I'd say if I were to get one piece of advice, I'd say is to believe in yourself and step out of your comfort zone and take up opportunities. It is, like I said before, it's easier to fall into that trap of thinking you're just a newbie or you just started and those opportunities are too hard. You never know until you give it a shot. It's always good to, if there's an opportunity, always sign up for it and ask, hey, could I possibly do that? And someone else can see that you take the initiative and you're really keen to try something, even though it might be out of your comfort zone. And I think that's really, really valuable, and definitely shows to other people as well.
Awesome. What about you, Kshitish? What are your thoughts?
I think if I were in that place and someone would be like, what kind of advice would you give? So I think that would be, focus on your personal life, or focus on your health. It's fine if you currently you don't have a job maybe, and you're trying to look for a job, and you're trying to learn new skills every day. You're working maybe 6 to 7 hours a day. I think it's important to get that kind of mentality, like, yeah, this is my work life, right? So I need to work on it, but there's also a personal life, there's also you got your health, right? So make sure you don't burn out. Try to, I think it's more about keeping that balance. I know it's easier said than done, but try to keep that balance of work and personal life. Maybe go for a run, go and work out. Try to make your health life a priority as well, not just your work life. Because I think what happened with me was back in India, in my last company, we had to release our product, a beta product, and for the whole month, I think my average hour that I worked was like almost like 10 to 11 hours every day. Like that was my average for the whole month, and I really felt burnt out because my performance was getting affected due to that. So it's fine that you want to work, and then even though you like it, but you got to focus on your personal life, you got to focus on your health. Make sure it doesn't degrade just because you want to work, or just because your boss says that you need to complete this, right? So focus on your health as well. It's really important. It's really important.
Definitely, yeah, that's great advice. And I think balance is very important in everything you do, really. We'll go on to Candice. What are your thoughts?
I was about to say pretty much the same point that Teresa was raising up, like being persistent, just showing that initiative. It's great, and it brings you to so many like opportunities that you're gonna miss out on if you just start doubting yourself. Probably the other like practical advice that I might give is that it's one of the things that I find very important is also just exploring who you are in the tech industry. Tech is not just you become a software engineer and then that's the end of the day. There's so many different positions that's available in the tech industry. Like I work as a full stack engineer because I like both the front end and the back end. I love working with like websites and all. I have friends who are very much into like machine learning and all. Data science, that's definitely a thing. There's also many people who fall into this trap where it's like, maybe they started off as like with a data science degree or something, and then they realize midway that they just don't like it, but they fall into this trap where it's like, oh, my degree is a data science degree, so I have to go straight into it. But then I could clearly tell that once they got their very first like coding software engineering role, they enjoyed that so much more than like data science and all. I would say finding something in tech that makes you happy is the one thing that'll be very important. You don't want to spend your whole life doing something that you don't enjoy.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Makes a lot of sense. We've got one more question before we jump into the Q&A. So this is, how does your company or organization work to actively include people with postgraduate degrees and international backgrounds? And I'm going to start with Shatish for this one.
Currently, I would say my company is not exactly in that kind of stage that we can do something about that. So we hire. So I got hired. I'm an international student, right? I got hired, right? Even though I was on a temporary visa, I'm on a student visa, I still got hired. I think I might not be able to answer this properly because working in a small startup, like we are just 3 people. I don't think we are at that kind of stage where we can, get this kind of process done. Like, so I don't think I would be in a position to answer this question properly.
I think it does go to show, though, that there are opportunities everywhere, even in places that you might not think that they would hire international students. So how about Teresa, do you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I'm really fortunate that Canva hires international students. Canva is one of the companies I had on my radar that I really wanted to join. But as an Australian company, sometimes you think they wouldn't be hiring international students. But I was pleasantly surprised that they do. And there's quite a few things that I found that they do really, really well in supporting postgraduate and international students. The main thing I found is the ability to work part-time. So they provide like really flexible working arrangements based on your situation. I have friends who are international students and they have a 20-hour limit per week working, and Canva is very flexible to adapt to you and your schedule. If you need to work certain days or work less days because of your workload, absolutely take the week off. Your well-being is the most important thing. So don't push yourself. And I found my team was super supportive in basically saying, take the whole month off, focus on uni. If you're stressed, don't come to work. I don't want to see you more stressed. It was also really awesome that they provide sponsorships as well for, I think it's a specific visa, or like there's a few visas that we sponsor, and we help with your visa situation and your immigration. I don't really need sponsorship, so I haven't really done the process with HR, but I'm sure that's available as well. It's also been really cool to see the different celebrations of everyone's cultures. So we celebrate heaps of cultural celebrations. Like for me, it was Chinese New Year. So we had basically Chinese New Year brought into the office, and it was super lively and it was really awesome. But it's also seeing other people's and other cultures' celebrations and being able to celebrate with them. I know there's also a lot of expat events to connect you with people in Australia. If you've recently moved over, relocation allocations are really, really helpful if you're moving. So I have a lot of co-workers from Melbourne who are moving over, or if you choose to work from home, that's perfectly fine as well. So I think all of the different initiatives that Canva's implemented really do help with your work-life balance and also whatever situation you happen to be in. Yeah, so it's really, really, really great to see.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to note that it's not just about like saying, yeah, we'll hire you, but also really making you feel included and part of the team. That's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Yeah. Candice, would you like to round it out?
Yeah. I guess my company is a bit of like in the middle of everyone, because we definitely do hire international students. We're not necessarily actively looking for international students. It's just more so like no matter if you're an international student or not, your CV is going to be treated equally. So we just make sure that everyone is just hired based on skills, and also just making sure that you fit what we are looking for. But I do enjoy, and I was probably surprised when I actually came to the office quite recently, was that we definitely have lots of people coming from like different countries and all. So like my product owner was, she came from America, and then may or may not have been sponsored, not too sure on that. A lot of like our higher ups are also like, because HelloFresh was based in Europe, a lot of the higher ups are also just like European, and they definitely, it's a very nice multicultural company. I think the part that I also enjoyed is that not only are they like multicultural, they're happy to just hire whoever's a fit on their role. It's also that they don't necessarily discriminate based on like education levels or something. Like I've had, just on my own team, I've had like 2 or 3 software developers who are just amazing at their jobs, and they never actually went to like formal education for computer science or something like that. They did all of their knowledge, they got it from like boot camps, they did it from self-learning, but just getting those skills and just being able to show those skills during the interview got them the job. And they're very amazing at their job because they're the actual people in the company that actually keeps striving to improve themselves, whether it's, you know, self-learning through new articles or like textbooks and all. It's pretty great. Yeah. It's also just so because I'm an international student, I do have to get a sponsorship at the end of my 2-year temporary residency. And I've voiced out that concern of mine to HR, and HR has said, you know, we're definitely like, we don't have a system or anything in place. However, we very much have done that in the past. We're more than open to, you know, just sponsoring you if, let's say, you are a good fit and we do need you in the company. So it's great that my company was able to be so open to things and to new opportunities.
Amazing, thank you. It's great knowing that these companies are willing to accommodate international students and postgraduate students. That's exactly what we want to hear. We'll move into our submitted questions. Also, do feel free to send any questions to myself or Renee. Our first question is, what opportunities exist for postgraduate and international that you have found that have been very helpful in your career, especially ones that may not have been considered, especially ones that many may not have considered or known about? We'll get started with Teresa, I think.
That's a really good question. I'd say for me as an international student, the main things that I found really helpful was building up my network. It's also a bit of I don't really like the word networking because I feel like it sounds very corporate, sounds very not organic. But it can come out very organically. Like I met someone during a society, during a barbecue, and we were just talking about, I was asking what he does and and then asking like, what is that he found interesting about his job? And we kept up, and I was really curious to see like his updates on like LinkedIn, and I reached out to ask if he has any positions in his workplace. And I think things like that is really helpful. And I don't think I would have got those skills if I didn't go to, I guess, some networking workshops run by my society. They also had a lot of resume help. The recruiters that came in to look at like my resume and critiqued every bit and like told me what parts I can change was super helpful. As English is my second language, it was really hard to just pick out those small grammar mistakes that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise. And also definitely the interview practice. I think interviews is not just about how well you can code. It's definitely a lot more than that. So getting that practice in with someone who has the knowledge and expertise in interviewing is definitely really, really helpful. So I think making use of those resources to help you build up your skills when you are looking for a job is definitely something I found really helpful and might be helpful for you.
Yeah, definitely. I think building connections with like-minded people could be a great resource, especially for people of our age. We'll move on to Kshitish. What are your thoughts?
Can you just repeat the question one time, maybe?
Yeah, no problem. What opportunities exist for postgraduate and international students that you have found to have been very helpful in your career, especially ones that you may not have considered or known about?
It's a tough one. I think like Teresa mentioned, I think it's more about, once you say you're confident, right? You've got skills, you know your stuff, but you're not getting the opportunity. I think it's, so like Teresa mentioned, I think you should go for meetups or like societies or join that kind of group, so you get to connect to people. And I've seen a lot of my friends getting at least small opportunities because they started building out a network, LinkedIn, meetups, and everything. I think so. I think it's a really important skill to have that kind of skill, like, where you can connect with people, where you can talk to them, and build out a good connection. So I think that's really important as a skill.
Definitely, yeah. And Candice, would you like to pitch in?
Yep. In terms of opportunities, just back to like finding something that you do enjoy. My opportunity was that I really liked to teach. And because of that, I took on the teaching job. And with that, it was able to help me get through with my communication skills. I was very much a very closed off person at the start of university. At the end of my job, I definitely opened up more. I learned to communicate better. There's also just that leadership skills of like, what's it like to actually teach a whole class, that sort of thing. So just casual jobs, while it might seem unrelated to you, definitely helps in the long run. Even if it's just like small changes in yourself, you definitely do see yourself grow as a person. Apart from that, I think the thing that I find a lot of international students find missing is that they're very much focused on finding opportunities that are like maybe based in Australia, which I 100% understand, and it's very much their goal, but they're missing out on so many of these opportunities that they could find, let's say, in like their home country. Like, to me, I would not have been where I am today if I didn't actually just expand my search area to just, you know, maybe finding an opportunity in Australia is not for me yet. So I'll just have a look at what it's like maybe back in Indonesia. It was great because my degree with Monash is pretty well regarded, not only because we're relatively good, higher ranking university, I guess. And it's also just with studying in Australia, people give you, there's a bit of a notion where you're probably a lot more fluent in English than most people, most of the locals there. And that's very much a big plus point in terms of like communicating with people, that sort of thing. So definitely for me, even if, let's say, it's not an opportunity that's in Australia, you can definitely find opportunities back, not only in your home country. There's also other countries out there who are definitely open to maybe sponsoring you for like a few months to work with them, that sort of thing. So yeah, opportunities are everywhere. You just have to figure out how to find them.
Great. That's a really, really good piece of advice at the end there as well. So we have an audience question, which is, I think we'll open this up to anyone because it depends on if anyone actually knows this answer. If you are aware, how many international students in your graduating class managed to find jobs that accepted them, or B, were actually willing to sponsor them for work and permanent residency visas? So if anyone actually knows that, because obviously it's a little bit more of a statistical answer there.
Yeah, it is hard to say. I'd say my cohort had around 1,000 students, and I don't think I know 1,000 people. But I'd say out of my like close group of all people that I know that are international students, actually I'd say almost all of them had, if not all of them, found a job in Australia. They've either gone through like referrals, or even people, I know someone who got a job in a company that has basically said we would not hire international students, and they landed a job there. So it's all about kind of, and I think his story was proving to the, he got so friendly and so close with his interviewers that they were like, if you don't hire him, like, I don't know who else you should hire. So getting like back to the point of getting someone to advocate for you. If someone is backing you up, that's like a second voice telling them that you're the person that they should hire. And there are a lot of companies that will be flexible and will work around your arrangements. I know quite a few of my friends who are international students is now working for Canva, and many other companies as well. So I'd say a lot of international students have found a job, as far as I'm aware.
That's extremely encouraging. Did anyone else have anything to add to this one?
I've still not graduated, but I've got a few friends who already have graduated, and a lot of them have jobs. They're still international students, and they do have jobs. So there's this friend of mine, and after like graduating and for like 3 or 4 months, after 3 or 4 months, she got a job as an analyst. It was a UK-based company, and they didn't even ask about her visa status or anything. They just saw her skills. They just they did the whole interview, and they just loved her, and they just hired her on spot. So that's what I'm saying. You'll get opportunities. It's just that you got to find what you're fit for and then start looking there. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, again, that really thing about like finding your niche, finding your people in the company that's willing to put in the effort, and accept your value. Candice, did you have anything to add to this question?
I would say my answer is definitely not as optimistic. I have definitely seen a lot of international students who have not necessarily been able to find opportunities in Australia. There are definitely a good amount that actually do find those opportunities though. I'm just definitely thinking of like 1 or 2 students that I know of that didn't find the opportunities, but I definitely know a lot more who actually did get opportunities. There are also many people who it's definitely a lot easier for you to find companies who may hire you as an international student, but for you to find a company that also wants to sponsor you at the end of the visa, definitely a lot harder. Yeah. But then if let's say your goal is to just get that experience on working with an Australian company or just a company based in Australia, I would say most international students definitely got at least 1 or 2 opportunities. It's just what's going to happen at the end of those maybe 1 to 2 years. I'm not particularly clear on that just because I don't know how their company works, that sort of thing. But definitely a lot of people have gone into those opportunities, and that's great.
Awesome. Yeah, it definitely is challenging out there. We'll go on to perhaps our last submitted question. How do I build my IT career / network as an international student? I think, Teresa, you touched upon this earlier. It would be great if you could expand on that.
Yeah, I'd say there's a few levels of building your network. There's definitely starting with your peers. There are people who went to uni with you, that you know them personally through a lot of different events. I say that's my closest level of networking because I know them. I can go to ask them for support. A lot of my friends have asked me for referrals. I've asked people for referrals. I've asked people to help me do mock interviews. I think that's like a peer sort of network, which is quite easy to build. I think the slightly harder one to build is definitely when you go above that. Like when you move outside of your peer, that's where it starts to require a lot more initiative. This is one that I don't think I've personally done myself, but I've seen people do, which is people will reach out to, for example, if they're applying for a job, like someone was applying for Canva and he was really keen on a part-time role. So he reached out to me and asked how I got my position. And from then on, we, I guess, just exchanged information. And yeah, I think and then he actually did join the company. So that was kind of building up network as well. I don't think he was asking questions with the intention of asking for anything else. Like he didn't ask for a referral. It was just kind of meeting someone who was in a similar position and wanted to pick my brains about what it was like working for the company. So I think it does take a lot of guts to just send out a message, and it might not have a return, it might not have an answer, but I'm almost certain that someone out there will be really, really keen on sharing their experience with you, and especially if you find someone who was in a similar situation to you. If you're an international student and you know someone else international student, that's something you guys can bond on and share your challenges. I know I have a friend who also works for someone else from another company, so you can reach out to them. Yeah, I think it does take a lot of initiative. I'm not saying it's easy. I still struggle with the idea of networking. But yeah, taking the first step. And I think something like this is already a really, really good start, where it's you can go into a breakout room and ask as many questions as you like. And then from then on, if you want to reach out to anyone else, that's definitely up to you. So yeah, I think you guys are already in the right place starting by attending events like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think taking the first step is very important because 9 times out of 10, most people are willing to meet you halfway. We'll go on to Kshitish. What are your thoughts on the question? How did you go about building your network?
I think meetups are a good thing. I've been to I really like JavaScript, right? So my profile is of a JavaScript developer, right? So there's this guy that there's a meetup every month or so, every 2 months or monthly, I think on Wednesday. So I would go to that meetup, and then it's just people talking about JavaScript, right? So I think meetups would be one of those opportunities that you could just get involved into. And because the meetup that I went to was about JavaScript, so a lot of engineers, a lot of industry people who only work on JavaScript came there because they like JavaScript, they like talking about it, right? So try to find these kind of meetups where you can, get around people who have shared the same interest as you, and then build out the network from there. So I think meetups could be one of those things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think networking feels most organic when it doesn't feel like networking. It just feels like conversing with friends about shared interests.
True.
And Candice, what about you? How do you go about building a network?
I feel like this is a pretty bad question for me to answer because I really don't like to do networking. I'm very much an introvert. I never went to these like panel events or any sort of these meetups. I've never done that. I think the only networking that I've somewhat done is that I've gotten all of my friends from internships. Like my very first internship, a few of the interns there I still talk to. That's also how I actually got my opportunity in like my third internship in the Indonesian startup, because they were also working there. Definitely, once you sort of meet all of these people in these internships, it's not like once the internship is over, they just forget about you, especially when you're not approaching these people to network, I guess. Like internships are very, very fun. You meet lots of new people, lots of new friends. And if they're very much like someone that you click with, they're a network that you will never lose. I think those are definitely the best kind of connections that you have. At the end of the day, like even with all of these internships, there's definitely still lots of like new interns, not new interns, or all of the like interns that I was working with before, I'm very much in contact with. Some of them who are still in Sydney, I still go for board games and I just talk about, oh, what have you been doing? And all of these interns were just amazing at what they do. They go for like these many different companies now. Even though I met them all, let's say in like Google or something, some of them are like in Optiver, some of them are like in Canva, some of them is in like IMC. And these are just like people that you don't necessarily try to seek out to network. It happens along the way. Just be genuine, find people that you actually do click with, and your network will just slowly start building up that way.
Let's do our quick little closing remarks. So that brings us to the end of everything. I just wanted to thank our panelists, Teresa, Kashit, and Candice. I don't know why I couldn't say Teresa. You guys had some amazing insights this evening, and thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Thank you everyone else for attending. We really hope that you had a good time and got something out of it. We would love to hear your feedback. So we do actually have a survey that'll be going around. We will be emailing it out to you if you registered, but we will also put that link in the chat. So make sure to fill that out because it really helps us tailor these events and get everything for you. So you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can join our Discord. That just helps keep up with the rest of the events, and also get in touch with each other and just kind of keep connecting. Lastly,
thing as well, I might just plug this in. We do have a newsletter that we send out on a fortnightly basis. So in that newsletter, we do source a lot of like job opportunities as well as career opportunities and ways to get involved at university, which a lot of panelists have highlighted as being a great thing to do in your career. So the newsletter link is in the chat as well. So definitely do sign up for it. And we will be also keeping an eye out on presenting opportunities for international and PG students.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's our feedback form that's in the chat as well. So we're going to be launching an initiative coming soon, and that's Copy with diversIT. I think that's coming out in week 3, maybe. So that's when you can schedule a time to meet with a committee member personally. So if you want, you can keep an eye out for that on our socials. If you liked what we did here and you want to pick our brains about things, you can get some time with us. That's all from us. I hope you guys had a wonderful evening. Thank you everybody for coming. Really appreciated it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Feel free to depart.
Bye.